All right, folks, welcome back. Part two of the Malzberg panel with retired General, Major General Paul Vallely and, of course, Andrew Bostom. And let me start with you, General. I mean, if the United States won't, at this point, go after command and control and go after convoys of their terrorists and their heavy weapons and just try to obliterate them from the sky, might it behoove, again, at this point, Israel, Jordan, Egypt, and anybody else interested, Saudi Arabia, to form some kind of an alliance and get the job done? And how hard would it be to eliminate them from the air?
Steve, that's a very good point, and it's something I've been thinking about for several days now. Because of the Levant, they have to look at, matter of fact, I'd send Hagel, send your Secretary of Defense, put together this immediate coalition. Jordan has the capability because they've got to protect their borders. And so when you look at Saudi Arabia, their border's threatened now as well. That Turkey up there ought to be doing something, but they've been siding and almost funding ISIS with Qatar. So they've
the
got,
NATO member, isn't that comforting? Yeah, the NATO member.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's rather confusing, that whole chessboard, but boy, I'd be putting together those people and say, listen, your military aid that we've been giving you and the assistance we've been giving you, let's put it to use now. Let's take ISIS out. Let's destroy ISIS everywhere they are in that Levant region. And then we've got a game to play here, and we got an end game, as I call it. That's why we need to put a four-star general and give them the order to go ahead and defeat them.
And Andrew, the politics of that, how the people of those countries would react.
Steve, I don't see that happening. I wish for it, but I don't see that happening. As Paul pointed out, Turkey is a supporter of ISIL. There are many, many wealthy financiers in the Gulf that support ISIL, whether they're in Saudi Arabia or some of the other Gulf states. There's a vast sentiment in the Muslim world in favor of restoring a caliphate. There are all kinds of disagreements as to who should actually do it, but here's a group, as odious as they are, they're kind of taking the task upon themselves.
But Andrew, not one of the governments that the general and I were just talking about, and I know you know this, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, not one of the governments want to see that happen, and they control the military. So why wouldn't they act proactively here?
Look, Steve, the same arguments were made about Al-Qaeda, that this was supposedly a war within Islam. And yet, we never saw the Organization of the Islamic Conference can gather all these nations together, and frankly, many more, and create, if they wanted to, a very, very capable military machine. When you take those 57 nations, they have a vast amount of armaments, and yet it's never been done. And so I think that if we are interested now in protecting the Kurds, in doing something to relieve the potential or prevent the potential genocide of the minorities. Right. I think we should focus on those tasks. The Kurds seem
Andrew,
desperately in need of heavy armaments.
I appreciate it, both of you gentlemen, Major General Paul Vallely, of course, founder of Stand Up America, and author Andrew Bostom. And thank you both, gentlemen, for participating. Very educational, and we'll have you back and talk about it at length real soon. Folks, we're coming back with Darryl and Tracy Strawberry. That's right, Darryl Strawberry and his wife, and more of the Steve Malzberg Show. We'll do that right after the break. But first, this hour's American Moment takes a look back at Gerald Ford's presidency.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
It was a stirring moment. Never before had a president resigned and another man risen to the nation's highest office. On August 9th, 1974, Gerald R. Ford was sworn in as the country's 38th president. It was a time in the nation rocked by scandal. The same day, August 9th, 1974, the House Judiciary Committee passed articles of impeachment against then-President Richard M. Nixon. That same day, Richard Nixon resigned, and Vice President Ford was hastily sworn in as Commander-in-Chief by Chief Justice Warren Burger. Soon after taking office, Gerald Ford ended the Watergate prosecution by granting Richard Nixon a full and unconditional pardon to the fallen president with this decree.
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
On October 17, 1974, President Ford agreed to appear before Congress to defend his historic decision.
I was absolutely convinced then, as I am now, that if we had had this series, an indictment, a trial, a conviction, and anything else that transpired after that, that the attention of the President, the Congress, and the American people would have been diverted from the problems that we have to solve.
Historians have lauded President Ford's political courage in granting the pardon, but the move was widely believed to have cost him the presidency in 1976, when he was defeated by former Georgia Governor Jimmy Carter. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.